Hello everyone, my name's Diane. I garden here in the northeast of England, and this video is for Mary, one of my subscribers who has requested an autumn garden tour. So this border at the front of my house is where I basically put all the plants that originally didn't have space for in the main garden. So things like the oxeye daisy, I'm delighted with this. This is its third flush of flowers. So what happened in early summer, I didn't cut it back, I didn't give it the Chelsea chop. The rain lashed down, all the flowers were lying over, so I cut them off. It flowered again. I cut them off when they'd finished, and now it's flowering again. So I've got a nice diverse mix of pollinating plants there. That's Verbena bonariensis. And this is a southwesterly facing border, so very, very sunny, but we have fields out the front, to the side and at the back, so it's a very exposed site, so any plants that go in here have to be extremely hardy. So right, we'll go into the garden now and I'll show you the front of the house. So at the front of the house here, we originally had two huge conifers here, and I lost one in a storm this January. So it then looked lopsided and the other one was leaning. So we took it down and I've planted in its place, I've planted some hemerocallis, some daylilies, which I've always wanted and never had in my garden. So that's a patch there and a patch there. I'm standing on a chamomile lawn that I started growing from plug plants about 15 years ago. So it's a gorgeous smell around here. Again, this is very sunny. These borders have been spectacular. Obviously, we're getting into autumn now, so most of the things have gone over and I'm left with beautiful seed heads here, but there's still some phlox there. So I'm waiting till that finishes. Oh, I've just noticed this. I don't know what that is. That is gorgeous. Is it a Narini? Beautiful. So yes, when the phlox is finished there, I'll give this border a clean up, bit of an overhaul. You can see the oxeye daisy at the back is spilling forward, and everything in the garden, it's a lovely time. Everything's just gradually going dormant, going to sleep, and because it deserves a well-earned rest now. I've got two big shrubs here, and these are very early flowering shrubs in the spring, so I know that if I prune them now, I'll cut off any chance of getting flowers next year. This is Wigelia. I have one here and one there. This one gets beautiful. Each of these branches is covered in white flowers. But when they're finished flowering, I've researched it, and then I'll cut it, trim it right back, take this top off here and sort of open this space up here. So in this border, we've got loosestrife, Mombretia. There's a New Zealand satin flower under the buddleia there. We've got Veronicastum at the back, Crocosmia lucifer, a beautiful purple geranium down there, more Alstroemeria. And the big plant growing up over the porch there is Clematis montana, and that is gorgeous in the spring as well. So if we come this way, so this is a very interesting border here. Underneath it, running around the side of the house when we first bought the house in 2008, is a concrete path. and we didn't dig it up. We covered it in the soil that we dug out of the back garden where we were putting in a pond. So everything in here doesn't necessarily have a very deep root run, which is surprising when you see the height of some of the plants. But this border, like every other border and area in my garden, I plant it out, and it's purely for pollinators. So I like to have the most sort of diverse mix of plants. So that's the most important thing. And then secondly, I go for difference in textures of leaves, different colors of leaves, not necessarily different colors in flowers, although I have heard that purple plants, deep purples, attract the most pollinators. So in here we've got a huge patch of oxeye daisy, Crocosmia lucifer, again Veronicastum at the back there. We have honeysuckle growing up there. This plant growing up the front stoop there is climbing hydrangea. That's a very early flowering plant for the pollinators. And this buddleia's had its first cut for the autumn. Buddleias are great for pollinators. I've got some gorgeous Rebecchias there, absolutely stunning. And then I've got these leaves here, which I know I've grown this from seed years ago. It's never flowered. I've got a feeling it's verbascum, but I don't know. So if anybody knows what that leaf is, because I think I might have to dig that up and put it in a tub somewhere and give that space to something else. I've got Persicaria Fats Domino here. I've got lots of loose strife. This has been the most beautiful white cleome, which I grew from seed. So you can see with this border here, this is very interesting. So you can see along the front there, Monty, can you come here? So I've actually started planting wallflowers and weeding along the front. And then as you go further back, it turns into, it literally is a wilderness in there. And that a few years ago became my new area for putting plants which I love, but which I'd split and I had no room for it in the garden. And then I've chosen not to prioritize doing that part of the garden. But now, if you look here, we've got this big area here, and this is where my new greenhouse is going to be erected. It's been delivered, it's wooden, it's in the garage, and I'm on to its second coat of paint. But yes, very soon, hopefully in November, we're going to start erecting it here, which means that when I'm in my greenhouse, I now will be looking at this area here. So I thought you might be interested in this part of the garden because there are some beautiful plants. If you come in closer and have a look. So I've got a New Zealand satinflower there. This is a beautiful Sarah Bernhardt peony. There is an ice plant, that one with the pink on there. There's some Japanese anemone finished here. This has been phlox. This tall plant here is helenium, a nice big yellow sunflower. Behind that beautiful mauvey coloured plant is aster, and behind that is a purple linaria. I've got a New Zealand satinflower here. Over there, I know for sure the ground is full of lily of the valley. So this is a beautiful golden rhododendron, and this is a deep scarlet rhododendron. Behind there, you can see that's the engine room of the garden. There are my compost bins, my leaf mould. I am going to clear that area out because we need to be able to get into this area to cultivate it. So you may want to come back and visit my videos where I'm working on this part of the garden, because all I really need to do in this area, it's got a lot of the plants there. I really just need a walkway through, and once I have a path through, that's a lovely bird song, isn't it? Once I've got a pathway through, then I will keep on top of it and cultivate it and add more plants to it. The big shrubs growing over the front wall there are lilacs. So this is the main south facing part of the garden. So this border here, pure south facing, it's full of phlox, Crocosmia lucifer, there are delphiniums, there are lupins, it's full of everything in there. And this is one border that in the next few weeks I'm going to dig a lot of the plants out, give them room. I know for a fact there's a rose that's been buried in there underneath the Crocosmia, so that needs some work, but it's a beautiful border. This border here, I dug out last autumn. This area here was completely overgrown with a Crocosmia lucifer, which had stopped flowering, and goldenrod. So all this here has been planted early this year, back end of last year. In all really sort of cottage garden plants I have in here. Got some beautiful hydrangeas. These baskets here are finished now. These have been my summer baskets. So I'm going to lift those down. I'm going to store them on the floor in the greenhouse. And I'm going to plant out the baskets with wallflowers, so that next year when I'm walking up there, the wallflowers, I'll be able to see and smell them. You can see I've already started cleaning up in the garden. This big patch here was where there was a massive New Zealand satinflower, and I've got a few of those around the garden which have stopped performing. I would ask you to have a look at growing lupins successfully. I think that's what I've called the video. I've got hundreds of lupins in my father-in-law's greenhouse, so I'm opening up areas of the garden this year so that next year I can plant big patches of lupins en masse, and I'll have that sort of colour repetition throughout the garden. So this is the side entrance to the house, and this really is the entrance that everybody uses. So in that case, I like to make this border interesting all year round. So if you can have a look in here, I've just planted out these foxgloves that I've grown from seed. These are wallflowers, and underneath all of these plants there are hundreds of bulbs. I've got a gorgeous aster here, a Rebecca this is Black-Eyed Susan. He's been flowering his little heart out. I've got Shasta Daisy down there. This has been beautiful, an ice plant, but I've learned a very good lesson this year. I have one of these on that front border where we started the video, and it got swamped by a huge Aquilegia. So I cut it right down because it was sprawling, and it's, I should have shown you it, it's standing rigid, upright and flowering, whereas this one has sort of collapsed a bit, but still very beautiful. So here we've got a very big patch of begonia. This is a lovely pale pink one. This patch here has been the purple true geranium, that huge patch there. I cut him back and he will sprout away again. This is the most gorgeous geranium. He grows about, I would say, 2.5 to 3 foot tall, pale lavender. I've got some euphorbia here, and this ice plant here, he's more upright. That is lovely in there. That is London Pride, but it's a variegated one. I thought it'd be a good idea as well to give you the autumn tour now, because once the leaves drop on the garden, it'll be very hard to see everything. Right, so this is the front of my garage. I really sort of commandeered this space a few years ago because nobody in the family ever puts the car away. So it was just a big expanse of block paving with a big white metal door. And now it looks like this. And it's really just an extension of my garden. So I would recommend you rethink if you're looking for some extra garden space, rethink areas maybe in front of garages that you don't use, or the side of huts or anything like that, where you can plant out plants. That all the plants here are in pots. There's no soil. And this is the autumn display that I've just done. So there's a video out on this. And there's also a video out on this cart, which I made from an old garden lounger. And I think it's one of the favourite things that I've ever made in the garden. So the area that we're going to go into now is a tiny little utility area. It's a little courtyard area. Very high traffic. It's where we get the pushchair for my baby grandson in and out. It's the entrance to the side of the garage. It's where I hang all my washing. But I've made it into a sort of Japanese style garden, full of acers and hostas. Right, so this area tends to stay roughly the same throughout the year, and I just do little tweaks. So in the spring, when you can imagine there are no leaves, oh, this is the rhoda stack, by the way, and it is very smart cover. So yes, when these acers have no leaves on in the spring and all these ferns are under the soil, you can imagine how bare this would look. So what I do is I just collect together all the tubs of evergreen shrubs that I've got, put them in here. I use heucheras all the time. They're a great source of colour, and tubs of bulbs. So that's how I do it in the spring. And then I do a little tweak throughout the summer. I've got a beautiful box here. These are the heucheras I was telling you about. These are actually hostas under the ground now, but I love that moss. Love it. This is a hydrangea in its autumn colour. Beautiful. Some lovely begonia there. This is a gorgeous bamboo. Not sure what tree this is, but he's losing his leaves, but I love the way he's turning yellow. But just to give him a bit more interest, I've slotted in a red acer behind him. And then I just fill the gaps full of pansies, more heucheras. This is a beautiful acer that I dug out of the area we're going to go into next, which is the back garden. This had been in the soil. And it's all one acer. So it looks like this beautiful black leafed acer has been grafted onto a green one. I don't know whether you can get in close there and see. Beautiful. So he's going to live in a tub now. Gorgeous. I think that's a miscanthus. This is my beautiful tree fern. Now, he isn't hardy up here in the northeast of England. So I know further down south you would be able to just maybe stuff straw into the crown of the fern and then tie the leaves up and sway them in horticultural fleece. But up here He's always overwintered in my big conservatory, but this year I think he's just too heavy to lift up that step, so I'm going to put him in the garage over winter. So if you'd be interested to see how I created this area, then I have a playlist with a full list of courtyard videos. It shows everything from me painting the walls and the fences black to how I actually decide how to display the various plants. So that would be a good one to check out. So now I'm going to take you through into the final part of the garden, which is the small back garden. And this is very much a work in progress, because what I'm doing in this area is I'm going to create an all white garden, which is something that I've been thinking about doing for years and never got round to. But you will see a lot of plants that are very much not white. And what I'm waiting for is for those plants to finish off, finish their display, and then I'll be relocating them to another part of the garden out the front. And I've already started. There's a video out showing which plants I'm growing from seed, all the white bulbs that I've planted, and just how I've made a start creating this white garden. So you'll notice that I've already started collecting white plants, putting them together, really just to sort of make sure that I'm on the right path, that I'm going to like it all white. So I've got this beautiful one that I've just bought, and a lot of these will be going in the ground. So this is Angel's Wings. This plant here, my daughter bought for me, and a very kind viewer said that she thinks this is the obedient plant, fondly regarded as the disobedient plant. Then I've got a lovely winter heather, some cyclamen, some white pansies, and my trusty white pelargoniums there. This lovely plant here, which I know because he's silvery leafed and furry, he's going to like the sun. But this is the rest of the garden space. You can see it's not very big at all. It's been all sorts over the years. The whole area was once a huge pond. Then when the grandchildren came along, the babies, we got rid of the pond, and it had a Wendy house, and it was all turfed. And then they didn't go in the Wendy house because there were spiders in there, so we got rid of that, and I turned it into a garden. So this is the Rebecca, the black-eyed Susan, which will be coming out. We've got Veronicastum, we've got Pulmonaria. I've planted these little white plants again just to sort of, I'm very impatient. So I want to get some white in here so that when I'm looking out at the garden, I think, oh yes, it's going to look lovely. I've just bought these. So I've just bought this one, which is a Weigela black and white. He's gorgeous. And the good thing about him is he's dwarf, because in a small space, I've learned from experience, you really don't want big, massive plants. I used to have a beautiful magnolia there, and it grew so big, it sort of overshadowed the whole garden. And then I got this one, which is geranium black and white army, and look at the beautiful dark leaves on that. Gorgeous. Very excited about him. So everywhere I go, I'm on the lookout for white. I've already got a beautiful, if you can come over here, this is the most beautiful hydrangea. So he starts off greeny, sort of green petals, turns pure white, no hint of green. And then he fades to this pink tinged leaf. And then it goes darker and darker until you get these seed heads. So he can stay, But there are lots of plants that need to come out. So the pink Linaria will come out. This Sarah Bernhardt peony, he will come out, or she will. This area here, if you can see, there's a line where the old stone meets new, and this was all border. And originally I had thought to put my new greenhouse in this space before realizing it was going to look too squished. So changed my mind, but in the meantime I had dug the border out. So I thought it's a little bit deep to keep on top of the weeds. So we've put some new paving down. I'm going to dig this beautiful rose out and put him at the front of the garage on that climbing frame. And I've bought this beautiful climbing rose, which he's just finished flowering there. And that is called Creme de la Creme. And you can see I've already put one wire up because I know with climbing roses, you have to train them horizontally to get that new growth, which will give you the flowers. I've dug 3 huge clumps of oxeye daisy out the front of the garden where the greenhouse is going now, and I've put that in the corner. So he will probably grow up to about there. I'll weed this soil and put it round here, dig everything out that I know isn't white, and then I can start planting my bulbs. And I can't remember if I've introduced Monty, so this is Monty. Say hello. So yes, I hope you've enjoyed watching this October garden tour. I hope it's given you a sense of how all the different areas in the garden sort of hang together. And I would love it if you came back and watched some of my subsequent videos. Currently I'm putting out 2 a week. So if you could subscribe, that would be absolutely lovely. It means a lot. And I'll see you next time. Bye.